The room fell silent the moment she pulled back the collar of her blouse. A thin scar stretched across her collarbone, a reminder of the surgery that had saved her life but stolen something she believed she could never get back. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered words that carried years of pain. She believed the scar had made her invisible, unlovable, and destined to spend the rest of her life alone. But standing across from her was someone who had spent years learning that the deepest wounds are never the ones people can see. What happened next would change not only her life but the lives of everyone who witnessed it. Before we continue this emotional journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Journey of Kindness. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Morning sunlight poured through the tall windows of the Harper Community Foundation, filling the building with warmth. Employees greeted one another with smiles as they hurried through the lobby carrying coffee cups and folders. Among them walked Rowan Mercer, a 34-year-old single father whose calm smile had become one of the most familiar sights in the office. Every morning before work, Rowan packed school lunches, braided his 8-year-old daughter Ivy's hair, dropped her off at school, and somehow still managed to arrive at work before everyone else. His life wasn't easy, but he carried every responsibility with quiet determination. The foundation's executive director, Serena Ashcroft, had built the organization from almost nothing. At 41, she was respected by everyone who worked with her. Her intelligence, kindness, and tireless dedication had earned admiration across the city. Yet behind the confidence she displayed every day lived a woman haunted by memories she refused to share. 5 years earlier, Serena had survived a rare illness that required major chest surgery. The operation saved her life but left a visible scar across her upper chest. The physical wound healed long ago, but the emotional one never truly disappeared. Before the surgery, she had been engaged. Her fiancé slowly drifted away during her recovery until one afternoon he admitted he no longer saw the future they had planned. Although he never openly blamed the surgery, Serena convinced herself the scar had changed everything. Since then, every invitation to dinner, every compliment, every friendly conversation ended with the same silent conclusion inside her heart. No one would ever choose someone like her. She buried herself in work instead. Rowan admired Serena deeply, not because she was his boss, but because he saw the kindness hidden beneath her professionalism. She remembered every employee's birthday, quietly paid medical bills for struggling staff members, and never sought recognition for her generosity. Yet Rowan also noticed something others overlooked. Whenever conversations turned toward families, weddings, or relationships, Serena's smile became fragile before she gently changed the subject. One afternoon, the foundation hosted a volunteer appreciation event. Laughter echoed through the decorated hall as families gathered together. Rowan arrived holding Ivy's hand. The little girl immediately charmed everyone with her bright smile and endless curiosity. Serena knelt beside Ivy and asked about school, her artwork, and her favorite books. Watching them together stirred something unexpected inside Serena. For a brief moment, she imagined what life might have been if everything had unfolded differently years ago. Later that afternoon, Rowan found Serena standing alone on the rooftop terrace overlooking the city skyline. The celebration continued below, but she seemed miles away. Without realizing how deeply she had been holding everything inside, Serena quietly admitted that she sometimes wondered whether success mattered if she had no one to share it with. Years of loneliness spilled into a single heartbreaking confession. She believed people admired her accomplishments but would never truly love her. Then, with trembling hands, she revealed the scar she had hidden beneath carefully chosen clothing for years. Her voice barely rose above a whisper as she admitted that no one would ever choose her. Rowan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at her with genuine compassion rather than pity. As a widowed father, Rowan understood how grief quietly reshaped people's lives. His wife had passed away shortly after Ivy was born due to unexpected complications. Overnight he had become both mother and father, learning to comfort a crying newborn while mourning the person he loved most. During those difficult years, strangers often looked at him with sympathy, assuming his life had been permanently broken. But Ivy had taught him something extraordinary. She had never cared about perfection. She loved messy breakfasts, bedtime stories told with funny voices, patched up toys, and homemade birthday cakes that leaned sideways. Through his daughter, Rowan discovered that love never searched for flawless people. It simply searched for honest hearts. He gently told Serena that scars were proof someone had survived something powerful enough to leave a mark. They weren't signs that someone deserved less love. If anything, they revealed courage most people never had to show. Those words settled quietly into Serena's heart. For the first time in years, someone had looked directly at the scar she feared without seeing it as something that needed to be hidden. Life continued, but something inside Serena slowly began changing. She stopped avoiding mirrors. She laughed a little more during meetings. She joined employees for lunch instead of eating alone in her office. Most importantly, she began believing that perhaps her story wasn't finished after all. Meanwhile, Rowan faced struggles of his own. Balancing fatherhood and work grew increasingly difficult when Ivy developed asthma complications that required frequent doctor visits. Medical expenses piled up, and Rowan often stayed awake late into the night calculating bills after Ivy had fallen asleep. Despite his financial worries, he never complained. Serena quietly noticed. Without announcing it publicly, she arranged additional flexible work hours so Rowan could attend appointments without sacrificing income. She also created a new employee family assistance program that benefited not only Rowan but several other parents facing similar challenges. Her kindness spread through the organization like ripples across water. Months passed. The foundation organized a large community festival supporting children recovering from serious illnesses. Hundreds of families attended. Among the guests was a teenage girl named Nora who wore a colorful scarf around her neck to cover surgical scars from cancer treatment. Throughout the event she remained withdrawn, refusing to participate in activities. Serena recognized something painfully familiar in the girl's eyes. Instead of delivering the prepared welcome speech, Serena did something unexpected. She stepped onto the stage and shared her own story. For the first time publicly, she spoke about surviving surgery, losing confidence, believing she had become impossible to love, and spending years hiding from the world. Then, with quiet courage, she adjusted the neckline of her blouse, allowing everyone to see the scar she had hidden for years. The audience remained completely silent. Many wiped away tears. Nora slowly removed her scarf. Several other survivors in the crowd followed. It became a moment none of them would ever forget. That evening local newspapers praised Serena's bravery, but what mattered most happened after the crowd dispersed. Nora approached Serena with tears in her eyes and hugged her without saying a word. Sometimes healing begins when someone else's courage gives us permission to stop hiding. As autumn arrived, Rowan and Ivy continued building their simple but joyful life. One rainy afternoon Ivy drew a picture during school. It showed herself holding hands with Rowan and Serena beneath a bright rainbow. When Rowan asked why she had included Serena, Ivy simply smiled and explained that Serena looked lonely sometimes, and lonely people deserved families too. Children often see truths adults spend years ignoring. Over the following months, Serena became a cherished part of Ivy's life. She attended school concerts, helped with science projects, and laughed harder than she had in years. None of it happened quickly. There were no dramatic declarations. Just countless ordinary moments that slowly became extraordinary. Shared dinners. Weekend charity events. Conversations about dreams, fears, and second chances. One winter morning Rowan invited Serena and Ivy to volunteer at a shelter serving breakfast to homeless families. Watching Serena kneel beside frightened children, patiently helping them decorate cookies while listening to their stories, Rowan realized what had been quietly growing inside his heart all along. He wasn't drawn to Serena because she was successful. He wasn't moved by her strength alone. He loved the woman who continued choosing kindness despite every reason to become bitter. Months later, during the Foundation's annual Spring Garden celebration, Rowan asked Serena to walk with him beneath rows of blooming cherry trees. The blossoms drifted gently through the afternoon breeze, covering the path like soft pink snow. Rowan told Serena that people often spend their lives searching for perfection, only to discover too late that perfection never existed. What truly changes lives is finding someone whose scars, hopes, fears, and compassion fit beside your own. He gently took her hand. There was no audience. No elaborate performance. Only honesty. Serena looked toward Ivy, who stood nearby pretending not to watch while secretly smiling from ear to ear. For years Serena believed no one would ever choose her. She finally understood she had been measuring herself through the eyes of people who never truly saw her. The right people had been waiting all along. They simply cared far more about her heart than the scar she carried. Their wedding nearly a year later was held outdoors on a bright spring afternoon surrounded by volunteers, co-workers, neighbors, and families whose lives had been touched by the foundation. Instead of hiding her scar beneath heavy fabric, Serena wore a dress that allowed it to remain visible. Not because she wanted attention. Because she no longer felt ashamed. As she walked toward Rowan, sunlight reflected softly across the scar she once believed had ruined her future. Now it represented survival, hope, and the beginning of a completely different story. Years later, the Harper Community Foundation expanded into several neighboring cities, helping thousands of families facing hardship. At every leadership conference, Serena reminded audiences that kindness has the power to rebuild lives in ways success alone never can. Rowan continued raising Ivy with the same quiet strength that had inspired everyone around him. Whenever people asked Serena what changed her life forever, she never mentioned awards, promotions, or achievements. She simply smiled and remembered the day one compassionate single father looked beyond the scar she hated most and reminded her that being chosen begins with believing you are worthy of love. Before we reach the end, we'd love to hear from you. Please write in the comments. Every scar tells a story, and every heart deserves a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who may need hope today, and subscribe to Journey of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach people who need encouragement the most. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't finding someone who sees us as perfect. It's finding someone who sees every broken piece, every scar, every fear, and quietly reminds us that we were worthy of love all along. And when that happens, kindness doesn't just change one life. It creates a future filled with hope for everyone it touches.